Hi everyone, this is Vlad from Modulus Render, and in today's tutorial we're going to talk about how to speed up your render times for animations using TheaRender. Render times are very important, especially when it comes down to animations. So whenever you have to deliver good quality animations for a client, I know in my case I start thinking about, do I have enough time? Do I have enough days? Because it can sometimes run up to 2 or 3 days of rendering frame by frame for a 1-minute animation. So I want to break down how I get my animations to render under an hour for these short intros that I have in my clips here on YouTube. And it's very important to kind of find the balance where you can reduce the time but not compromise the quality so much. So we have to find a nice balance between quality and time, but I'm going to just show you my workflow and how I do this. So let's get started. This is the 3D model. This is the room we're going to use to animate our camera, and for the animations we're going to use Fredo's animator plugin. As you can see, in all the rooms next to all the windows I have a light plane because I want more samples of light in the image, which will help my render times also and give me better looking shadows on the inside. On the outside of the building I have a simple 2D image of a building and some trees in the windows. Very low poly, so it doesn't make my scene heavier because I have a lot of polygons with the furniture, pillows, and interior objects. So what I usually do is set up a few scenes and a few camera angles and then start from there. Let's say I want to do an animation where there's a zoom in from here to here, and we want to do this for like 10 seconds or something, and I want to show you how to set that up using Animator. Now I have a few camera movements already set up. Let's see, this is one of them, of course with the rest of the model visible. So it's just zoom in, well, it's not actually zoom in, it's a camera movement, but you get the point. Let's see, film 1. Okay, so maybe we do something like this. A slow camera movement towards the vase. This could work great. Let me just make a new one so you know how to use this plugin. So we have our scene here, scene number 6. We just go onto that scene, and this will be our starting point for the animations. And we're just going to click here on insert a camera at the timeline. Let's choose a new camera. And then over here you can move around your scene and capture current view. So we're already there. This is where I want to start. And we're going to click on Capture Current View. And then save the sequence and exit. Okay, so now we have a camera at the 0 timestamp, and I'm just going to click here at the 10-second timestamp, and we're going to insert a camera. new camera, go to the endpoint of the animations, wherever that may be. Let's just go closer, maybe here, and capture current view. And then save the sequence and exit. Okay, so now we have film 4, which should have 2 cameras, and we should move from A to B in 10 seconds. Okay. Now we can save all data in the model and save model to SketchUp. We do that. So the next time we open Animator, this will be here. Otherwise, it won't. And you'll have to do it all over again. So let me just save that. So it's saved the scene. Now we can exit. And we can open up, I don't know where this was, maybe here. Okay. We can open up TheaRender, and I'll walk you through the settings, the lighting, and the materials. Now for the animations, the resolution is very important, and I usually pick a resolution below the final one that I'm going to deliver to my client. So for example, if I have a full HD resolution, 1920 by 1080, I will render at 1280 by 720. So I'm going to go one step below the needed resolution for the final animations. And I'm doing this because I want to lower my render times, and I'm going to upscale the animations with a different software in the end. So for this example, let's say we want to do a 4K render. So that would be 3840 by 2160. So in this example, if I want a 4K final resolution, I'm just gonna go and render 1920 by 1080. Because of course, the lower the resolution on each of the frame, then I'll have a lower rendering time. So we're just gonna do that. And then for my environment, I think it's just a basic white color for the sun, and then a dome light, just white, intensity 5. Let's go to exposure settings. Usually I go with filmic because I like the look of the final image like that. Highlights 65 and shadows 15. I like to bring the shadows down because I don't want them so dark, especially if I want to apply some filters over the image or the video, apply some LUTs or basic post-processing. So I want my shadows to be a little on the lighter side. ISO is 200, and the denoiser is at 50%. Here we need to find a balance between the amount of noise and the quality of the image. So we need to render out maybe one image at a time to check if we want to keep the denoiser at 50%, at 30%, at 100%. So here you need to play around. I usually leave it at 50, or I even go down to 30%. So depends on the image, because the final sample size is 500. You can even lower this to kind of find that nice balance between noise and quality. So for this image, I'm going to leave my samples at 500 and the denoiser at 50%. Now, super sampling, I usually disable this. I set it to none because I've noticed it really reduces my render times, and I only use it when I have maybe like a dark environment with a lot of artificial lights turned on, and then without super sampling, I get a lot of noise, and I can't get rid of that even with the denoiser. So for a well-lit interior, I usually disable this. And this is basically it for the render settings. Now, we can go to the settings panel over here, animation, and the cool thing about TheaRender is that it is connected, or it supports Fredo Animator. So you have animate camera, or if you animate some objects in here, which you can also do with Fredo's Animator plugin, you click that, and then you choose Fredo Animator. And then we set the number of frames. We want to render all frames, or you can even render selected frames. But let's just go and do the whole thing. Now this window will pop up, and our film will be film 4, maybe? Yep. Oh, I like film 3. And 2. This is just a slow movement of the camera up and down. But we're gonna go to film 4, which we prepared. Now the frame rate, we can change it here to 30 frames a second. And we have these 10 seconds of rendering. Now, normally, if you render out 10 seconds with high quality render settings, 4K resolution, you might have an image, one frame in maybe 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So if you have 300 frames times 30 minutes, it's going to take a lot of time. What I want to do is use a software called Topaz AI, Video AI, which allows me to slow down my animation, denoise it, sharpen it, and even increase its resolution. So we're going to use Topaz Video AI to help us in this process. So what we're going to do here, we know we want this animation from A to B, but I want to speed it up so fast that I lower the amount of frames and then insert them back using AI. So what I mean by this is I want to speed up. You have a speed factor here. We have 10 seconds. We have 300 frames. So if I speed it up 4 times, you see the number of frames that I have to render now are 76, which is great compared to 300. Now the animation runs faster than we intended. We don't have 10 seconds anymore. We have a smaller amount of time. I mean, it just runs faster. But we're going to use this video AI from Topaz to kind of go into slow motion and bring back that fluid slow motion style of rendering that we wanted initially. So maybe I can go even faster, like 5 times. Now you can write here, you can write down 10 times faster, for example, and now we have 30 frames. So basically what this means is I want to render my frames 10 times faster, 5 times faster, 4 times faster, and so on, because I render less frames. So we have 30 frames to render. Usually this should take about a second and something, the whole animation, so it's really fast. So what we do here is speed up our animation, and then with Topaz Video AI, we're going to slow it down using the algorithms of the AI. So we don't have to render all 300 frames, because the AI will put them in between these 31 frames that we are actually rendering. So just to summarize, we have the resolution set at full HD, 1920 by 1080. We have our animation, and we speed that up considerably depending on how much time we have to render or how fast we want the rendering process to go. I mean, 10 times is a little bit too much, even for me. I usually use maybe twice. I slow it down 2x, so it's very smooth and easy for the AI to fill another 150 frames instead of 300 frames. So, but for this example, let's just go nuts and push it to 10 times faster. Then we click on Generate Video. Now here are all my frames rendered out, all 30 of them. And they look pretty good. Have some other layers on top of that, but for example, this is 100%. Go down, go up. Anyway, this is 100%. It's pretty clean. Of course, there is noise because I rendered them. I think each frame took 2 minutes to render. So about an hour in total to render 30 frames. And it looks pretty good. Now we've opened up Topaz AI, and we can just drag and drop all our frames right into it. And here we have our very fast animation. And the cool thing about Topaz Video AI, you have these presets where you can go 4 times slow motion, 8 times super slow motion. So we can go 8 times super slow motion. We can set up our output resolution here, so we can go 4K, because we're going to upscale this from 180 to 2160. We can have 30 frames per second. Slow motion, we'll do 10x. We're kind of pushing it with 10x, but it's doable. And then you have an AI model here that, kind of specializes, well, it says that here, specializes in nonlinear motion and slightly blurry inputs, generates 8 interpolated frames per. So it's the closest one we have to the 8x super slow motion. We're just going to let the software decide which AI model to use. We just change the 8x to 10x, and then we have another AI model here for denoising and sharpening. So we can play around with these and see which one fits best. Let's do a denoise and sharpen. We don't want to add grain. And then here For the encoder, you need to have your NVIDIA graphics card drivers up to date, and then you can use this H264 high for NVIDIA. I'm going to change the output to MP4, and I think this is it. And now we have our generated video. It took 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And this is the preview from Topaz Video AI. And if we zoom in, you'll see the enhancements. It's a little bit sharper, noise free. It looks better. I wouldn't upscale a lot, so that's why I said at the beginning that it's better to go one step down. So from 1920 by 1080 to go up to 4K. So from 1K go to 2K, from 2K go to 4K, stuff like that. So don't go from 720p to 8K videos, because no amount of AI will be able to generate a good looking video from that. So just keep in mind to go a little bit lower on the resolution, and add some noise. Feel free to have some noise or more noise than usual in your image, because Topaz will take care of that. And let's just open this and see the final result. So here we go. We have our 10 seconds of animation made from 1 second of rendered frames, if that makes sense. So we have 30 frames per second. We just rendered the 30 frames. We didn't render 300 frames. And the AI model in Topaz Video AI helped us to kind of interlace in this slow motion video all the other renders, all the other frames. And again, I'm mentioning 10x, going 10 times slower, and doing this super slow motion is very extreme. I usually do 5x or maybe 2x, but either way, having your render times 2 times lower, or 5 times lower, or even 10 times lower if you are in a tight spot, it's really amazing. So this is the results you can get using TheaRender and Topaz AI. As you can see, this is the second clip, which I rendered straight from Thea, 5 seconds. And this is the slowed down version. I slowed it down to 20 seconds. So yeah, 20 seconds. And it goes really soft. It goes really slow and smooth. There are no artifacts. The depth of field looks good. The denoiser didn't kill details in the carpet, for example. It looks pretty good. And this is slowed down a lot more. This is 50 seconds from 5 seconds. So this is, again, a bit of an extreme. I wouldn't normally do this, but I wanted to push the software to see how it handles this, if there's no artifacts or shaking or weird stuff going on. So it did a pretty good job. So I'm gonna keep using this in my workflow. Oh yeah, looks good. This is it for our tutorial. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.